He is Jalen Rose.
What
I am David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
We're going to tell you about the Raptors' domination of the Lakers, what Aaron Judge is up to, but we start with two powerhouses in the NBA going toe-to-toe last night. The Rockets beat the Bucks, and I saw something in this game that I absolutely love to see. James Harden's defense. James Harden was great playing defense, getting some steals. He was handling the post. I just love to see James Harden getting big stops. That was my biggest takeaway from this Rockets comeback. What was your biggest takeaway from this game?
My classic example of small ball with the Rockets versus tall ball with the Bucks. Giannis being their primary ball handler and playmaker, getting to the bucket at will pretty much the entire game. Brook Lopez dominant in the paint. They even start posting him up more. I know a lot of people want to overreact to the Bucks losing, and I want to give the Rockets a lot of credit. However, they were playing without Eric Bledsoe, their starting point guard. And so I understand that as they start to get him back, I am not in a position to panic about feeling like the Bucks are still the best team in the Eastern Conference.
No, and one thing I'm not going to do is watch two regular season games and start making broad sweeping changes in my philosophies about what these teams are. But one thing I saw in the Rockets is, look at these numbers. They shot 67% of their attempts were three-point shots. That's 61 of 91 field goal attempts were three-point shots. This is who they are. This is what they do. This is why they can come from behind the way they did. Do you think a championship team can shoot 2/3 of their attempts from three?
Absolutely not, David Jacoby. And you know, I'm a person on this show that said, other than the LA teams, if I wanted to give somebody a puncher's chance to come out of the West, it would be the Rockets because of their shotgun style. But if you're going to take that many threes, it's one thing. That's not a percentage, however, Jacoby. Those are going to start becoming long rebounds as the playoffs progress. Your legs get a little tired. You saw how PJ Tucker was struggling in the first half of the game. But I want to give props to a few players. PJ Tucker leads the league in made corner threes. At 6'5", plays center and gives them toughness like Marcus Smart does for the Celtics. He does that for Houston. How about Daniel House? The exact same thing, and has made himself into a shooter. And Ben McLemore, who's also become a knockdown corner three-point shooter for the Houston Rockets. So I appreciate the mad scientist Daryl Morey as well as Mike D'Antoni just doubling and tripling down on playing small ball. But that many attempts, it has to be percentage, not just getting shots up.
I'm just so happy that they shot that many threes and not many of them came from Russell Westbrook. That's the one thing that I'm very happy about. And I also want to tell you the tale of someone who looked like they were making the leap to superstardom right before the bubble started. I mean, the season was suspended. But a tale of two Jayson Tatums over the weekend. There are two very distinct Jayson Tatums between Friday and Sunday. Take a look at this. You've got the one on Friday with the hair, 5 points, 2 for 18, gets a haircut, and then goes 11 for 22 in their win over the Blazers. Jalen, was it the haircut that got Tatum right to where he needed to be?
You know how important this is to me. And I said it on NBA Countdown. In the warm-ups, I wanted to give Maria some terrific analysis that Paul Pierce and Jay Williams could go back and forth about. Then I saw him in the layup line. I'm like, he got his hair cut. And like I said, you don't see James Harden going to the bubble and cutting off his beard. Stay doing what you do. He got back into his comfort zone. He and Jaylen Brown are a terrific young tandem, not only scoring the ball, but how they play off one another. And while they're built similar, they play a lot different. Jayson Tatum is more herky-jerky with the dribble and more of a smooth scorer. And Jaylen Brown is more of a timely player. He gives you the buckets when you need it. He's 9th in the NBA in defending isolation plays. He's a Swiss Army knife, energizer type of guy. And so to have both of those guys so very young on your roster is so promising for the Boston Celtics.
So glad he got a haircut. So glad he's back on his 30-point games. Jalen, The Lakers looked pretty good beating the Clippers on opening night, but they looked pretty bad against the Raptors. I think this game started 13-0 before the Lakers even got on the board. What were the Raptors doing that made the Lakers look so bad?
Let somebody that is crowd surfed in Toronto as they were progressing to win the championship tell you guys. The Toronto Raptors are really good. So much so they have a better record this year led by Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry than they did last year led by Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. They have seasoned vets. 30 teams at the beginning of training camp start to play basketball. Not many of them have an identity. The Raptors have one. That's why Nick Nurse is the coach of the year. He's done a terrific job with this squad. Don't be surprised they played so well against LA. They've beaten them 11 times in a row.
Facts. And Jalen, what this showed me is something that I knew would happen when they lost Avery Bradley is if you have an opposing scoring point guard, the Lakers are going to have trouble defending you. You saw Kyle Lowry play great in this game. And I look at matchups like the Blazers, if they get the 8 seed with Dame Lillard coming to town, and you think about the Rockets with the scoring guards that they have, that's when they really miss Avery Bradley. But AD, just didn't look – he looked like a completely different player than he looked like on opening night. And LeBron didn't get going. It was a really, really good defensive performance from this really well-coached, really energetic Raptors team. And big shout to OG for what he did against LeBron. And you look at their defense at the numbers. I mean, number 1 points per game scored against. And look at what they hold the opposing teams shooting percentage-wise. They do a really good job locking it up. And they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. And Jalen, there's something that's not exactly going to plan of the NBA, the media, and a bunch of Zion fans is the Pelicans were sort of set up to kind of sneak into the 8 seeds. We can get some sort of Zion-LeBron matchup, and we saw the schedule, and we all thought it would happen. But the Pelicans just don't look right in these first 2 games. What have you seen from them that's so concerning?
Well, you mentioned one person when you talked about the Pelicans, and his last name is Williamson. And obviously he's been load managed this entire season, as I felt that he should be based on his injury history, but also he's been in and out of the bubble with this team. And so as they play must-win games on a nightly basis, you want to ease him into that. The problem is they played against 2 teams with winning records and lost both of them. And yes, he struggled with finishing around the hoop. The first game, he didn't have any rebounds. His effort and tenacity has not seemed to be there. But they also have one of the, if not the easiest remaining schedule going forward. Yep. However, Memphis has also lost 2 games. And those games were against teams with losing records, while they still have to play each of their games versus teams with winning records. So here's what I'm going to say to you. The vets seem to always prevail. And you brought up Portland and Dame earlier. That's why they're in pole position ultimately with a play-in game to snatch that 8th spot.
I see that happening too, and don't sleep on the Spurs. We'll discuss them later. But one thing that we would be remiss if we didn't point out is just how good the Clippers offense looked, specifically Paul George. Can you talk about how he's become such a threat from deep, hitting 8 threes?
I think he just got his confidence back. He's not playing fast. I saw it in OKC. And what that is playing alongside another all-NBA performer. When he was with Russell, he didn't necessarily feel the sense of I got to be the guy. He had more of a sense of we're a dynamic duo and we can take turns. And I now see that playing out with he and Kawhi. And he's a terrific 3-point shooter. And he could get to the bucket. Hopefully as the playoffs approach, he starts to drive even a lot more. And so I told you this when they played against the Lakers. Yeah, they won versus the Clippers, but those 2 guys have been terrific since the Clippers started playing in the bubble.
Absolutely. I mean, Paul George just looks like a completely different player this year in the post-bubble than he did last year for the Thunder. He had so many lingering injuries and he had 2 shoulder surgeries, but he looks great. He looks fresh. He looks refreshed. He looks like the old pacer, Paul George. And when you have what he does on defense and what Kawhi does on defense, both of them are 2-way players, and they're going to make it hard for any wing to either defend them or score on them the entire game long, especially because they stagger their minutes from time to time. This Clippers team looks really good. And Jalen, we have an update on something that you are the foremost expert and analyst on, and if we need you to take us behind the curtain. Jalen, there are three things that you have spent more time focused on and you have more passion about, that you are not just the foremost expert, you are the foremost analyst on three elements that involve in this story, and that is NBA basketball, of course, gentlemen's clubs, and chicken wings. And they all are involved in this story, of course, of Lou Williams. Lou Will went to Magic City while he was out of the bubble to attend a funeral. Condolences to him and his family. And he was photographed by rapper Jack Harlow. That made it to the internet. That resulted, indirectly or directly, in him having to be quarantined for 10 days. Well, some investigative journalists have done some serious reporting on this. The LA Times spoke with a dancer at Magic City, an establishment that you may or may not have been to once or twice. And the dancer told the Los Angeles Times that he didn't exactly go in and out to get wings, as he characterized it, that she performed socially distanced lap dances for him. Jalen, take us behind the curtain. What do you think happened when Lou Williams went to Magic City while he was on a break from the bubble?
Let me get on my Godfather, okay? You see me with a rose on my lapel, so just imagine I have one. Imagine the cat is a bat, okay? Imagine we're in a steam room or not, and you're watching your favorite mafioso movie, and this is Mothballs, okay? So, Jack Harlow, you in the strip club and you want to take and post a picture, man? That's not how we operate in the family. Young lady, you got tipped for your services. You not divulge things that happen in an exotic environment. That's just not what we do. This is a direct violation of the code. You must be summoned to see the Godfather immediately based on your behavior. Free Lou Will. Free Lou Will. Free Lou Will.
Jalen, I love you so much. We'll be back right after this. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby.
At Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers, get a $25 prepaid Visa card when you get any Napa Automotive battery. It's the best deal for some of the best batteries from some of the best car people around. But we might be a little partial. Anywho, pick up any Napa Automotive battery and save $25. Do it yourself or have it done for you. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa Know-How.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care centers while supplies last. Offer ends 8/31/20.
TJ Warren put up over 50 on the Sixers, and Raekwon the chef posted about Jalen's hairline. But we start with the segment that Jalen loves the most because he decides what we discuss. It's time to keep
Tang! Woo! Tang!
If you want to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, me and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. We start with a new rule that the West Coast Conference has put in to encourage the hiring of minority coaches, and it will be called the Russell Rule after Bill Russell. Jalen, your thoughts?
Bill Russell is a legend, not only the greatest NBA champion of all time, but a historic humanitarian who I have the privilege of sitting on the shoulders of giants doing this show on a daily basis, as you see him pictured behind me. And for the West Coast Conference, to not only do this for African Americans and underserved communities, but to honor and name it after Bill Russell, a terrific humanitarian, is such a strong voice to now hopefully something that becomes a beacon for change.
And I would love to see the Power Five conferences do something similar. Moving on, Jalen, I've got really bad news for the really bad Lions. Hit it, keep moving, or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Matthew Stafford has been placed on the reserve/COVID-19 list. Again, I want to make sure that I say into a microphone, we do not know if he tested positive for COVID-19, but nonetheless, it is bad news for the Bad Lions. Jalen.
Another one bites the dust.
Thoughts.
We going 11-5 this year.
11-5. Okay, 11-5 will be the final score of the first
not necessarily
game.
the professional analyst, but don't sleep on Kenny Galladay. I'm just saying.
Well, we wish Matthew Stafford the best of health. Moving on, The Rock is now owner of a professional sports league. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is part of a group that bought the XFL for $15 billion. I'm sorry, $15 million, because apparently you can now buy sports leagues for $15 million. Jalen, do you think The Rock can make the XFL successful when we have football again in 2020?
You know what, Jacoby? It was one of the times in my adult life where I was proud of the things that I accomplished. Because when I saw The Rock made this purchase, I was like, I could have bought that squad if I wanted to. So it made me feel good. It really did.
That was the first thing I was thinking. I was like, wow, you can $15 million will get you like a 2-bedroom on the Upper East Side. It can also get you an entire sports league. You know,
a 2-bedroom, 1,000 square feet and 2 bathrooms.
Exactly. Yeah. You know that Ice Cube woke up this morning and was like, wait, the XFL sold for $15 million. Like, I'm about to sell the big three. You know, I love the big three. Yeah, I will sell this thing today, because you know the big three is worth at least $100 million. Moving on, Aaron Judge is doing something.
Hit the brakes
with the New York Yankees. It has been 13 years until a New York Yankee has hit home runs in not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 straight games. Aaron Judge, respect this man and do not pitch to him. Jalen, your thoughts?
He on this KRS-One, like you said, not 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I appreciate that he's 6'8", and I remember those comparisons a couple of years ago when the Astros were cheating and Altuve won MVP, and we were like, oh my God, comparing those guys standing side by side. And this now reminds me, even a small guy, if he's cheating, can take out the big guy. And that's what Houston was doing, flat out cheating.
Pac-12 players have some
hit the brakes.
Their conference. Pac-12 players got together, the football players, and they penned a letter. It was posted in the Players Tribune, and among what they want is they want students to be allowed to opt out without eligibility loss. They want to create a task force to address social injustice issues, and 2% of conference revenue to support financial aid for low-income Black students, community initiatives, and development programs. Jalen, I absolutely love this from the Pac-12 players. Do you think they will get this done?
Being woke is considered to have a level of consciousness that not only benefits you, but benefit those around you. It's not political. It's not radical. Okay. And for these young, educated men who have decided to take this step, I applaud them, because they now understand that they have the power. And that doesn't mean muscle per se. It means if we don't perform and play football, it's going to affect the bottom line. And usually, like Dan Gilbert taught us in Washington, if something can affect your bottom line, change can happen swiftly, like he changed the name of their mascot. So I appreciate this, and hopefully other conferences follow suit.
Jalen, the San Antonio Spurs are surging. Keep moving.
You know what? Just to make you mad, please hit the brakes, Matt.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been a long time Spurs doubter. Some would say hater. And I will say this. I'm not going to overreact over these 2 games. The Spurs are not making the playoffs, okay? No Marcus Aldridge. DeJounte Murray's played great. I love to watch him play. But you're going to really sit here and act like, oh, they're in the 9th seed. They could win 2 in a row against the Grizzlies. Yeah, it could happen, but it's not going to happen. Jalen, do you think the Spurs make their way into the playoffs? Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it into a microphone.
You just think the Spurs style, you love Pop, but you just think the Spurs style of play is so boring because they're not thumping their chest and they're not standing on the table when they win one basketball game. Here's what I'll say to you. When the Rockets attempt 65 threes, the world gets excited. If the Spurs score 200 in the game, you don't even want to put it in the rundown.
I wouldn't even notice because I wouldn't be watching it unless they're playing LeBron and the Lakers. When we come back, TJ Warren had 50+. Raekwon was posting.
I got your back, Derek White.
We'll tell you
Murray.
Right
I got y'all. Lonnie Walker.
Foot odor throwing you off your game? Stick to a winning game plan with Odor Eaters, featuring 3 advanced odor and wetness fighters. The lineup provides long-lasting odor control plus more to keep your feet on their game.
Odor Eaters powder provides outstanding moisture control. Clear drying spray is the MVP in preventing athlete's foot, while insoles work continuously to manage wetness while adding a layer of comfort. Pick up today at Walmart, Target, CVS, Dollar General, or other fine retailers.
Odor Eaters. Destroy foot odor with the best in odor defense.
Jalen and Jacoby is brought to you by Corona Extra. Find your beach.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, TJ Warren put on a Pacers uniform and scored 53 points against the Sixers. What is the first thing that comes to mind when I say TJ Warren?
That he been getting buckets since he was 2. And the Phoenix Suns traded him for cash considerations. So now we're just going to call him CC Warren moving forward. How about that?
I love it so much. And Jalen, there was something that happened over the weekend that's extremely important. It's time for news that matters. The Wu-Tang Clan's own Raekwon the Chef, I believe on the day on the 25th anniversary of Only Built for Cuban Links, posted this on Instagram, a picture of my co-host's haircut, and had the caption saying the meanest cut ever. Jalen, what did it feel like to see Raekwon the Chef post about you?
Raekwon the Chef is a legend, and just knowing that a member of the Wu-Tang Clan even knows my name is an honor. And you're right, it's the 25th anniversary of Cuban Links. And trust me, Jacoby, 94, 95, that was my rookie in the league. I had just got a car, just started getting bread. You know I was bouncing that. Shout to the God, all love.
Jalen,
peace to Half Moon Caesars.
Jalen, take a look at this tomato. Does it or does it not look exactly like Larry Joe Bird?
It does. And you know, we fight over the love of Redman and Larry Joe Bird. Those are both Jacoby and our guys, and that does look like my coach, Larry Legend.
We'll be back tomorrow, ESPN at 4 o'clock. Make sure you listen to our podcast in the meantime.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at the Mopar Service Center at your local Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealership.
We always say we give the people what they want, and part of that is doing podcast exclusive content. It made me so sad. It made me so sad that we couldn't do that for you last week, the end of the week. So here we are doing it today. Jalen has actually got a car waiting outside to take him to Countdown, going into the studio with Maria Taylor. But Jalen, we have to give the people what they want. And there's something that we really need to dive into. We mentioned it during the television section of the show, but I really need to talk about this. This is the Los Angeles Times. Again, the Los Angeles Times. And I quote, the Los Angeles Times, a very serious journalistic endeavor. Here's what they say about Lou Williams. Quote, working the day shift between 3 and 9 p.m., Aries said she danced last week for Williams, a regular at the club who has a dish named after him, the Lou Will Lemon Pepper Barbecue Wings. After placing an order with the Magic City Kitchen, the high-scoring Clippers guard ambled around the club, Aries said, and she was one of the few dancers who performed for him, keeping a 6-foot distance. Quote, he tipped very well, end quote, she said. A couple things. Number one, Aries, name by name, out here saying that she was one of the few dancers that danced for him. Number two, she said that she maintained a 6-foot distance while dancing for him. I don't believe her. I do not believe that's what happened. Number three, the words ambled around the club. I don't like what that's trying to infer. I'm just going to go ahead and say the word ambled kind of means walked, but kind of means stumbled to me. I think they're trying to say something about Lou Will's state of mind with that choice of verb. Jalen, And she said she was tipped very well. I guess apparently she wasn't tipped well enough to not tell the New York Times that she danced for Lou Williams. Jalen, again, you are the foremost expert and analyst on three things in this: wings, especially lemon pepper wings, strip clubs, and NBA basketball. Please, you have all the time you need here in the podcast exclusive to offer your thoughts.
So a few things. While we speak real spill, all jokes are like tongue in cheek, but I'm half joking here and I'm half serious. Like, I wish she could at least get a ticket or a suspension or a fine for disclosing what happened in the gentleman's club. That's illegal. That's a crime as far as I'm concerned. For somebody that's delved into that lifestyle happily and frequently since a notable day when I sat in the brass rail on Livernois and Tyreman, and one of the dancers squirt breast milk in the air like a fountain, and I was just there to retrieve every drop. I was in love at that moment. That's what it was. The kind of, kinship that young people get from breastfeeding. That's what the strip club environment did for me that day. I'm embedded. It's a part of my DNA. Like, on my tombstone, if you find room for Fab Five, find room for strip club connoisseur, and spell it correctly. And so I'm extremely disappointed that somebody that I considered an essential worker. I've come on this program. You know this, David. I've called adult entertainment essential.
Incorrectly.
But it's entertainment. It's stress release. It helps with anxiety. You get a chance to bob your head to music. You get a chance to eat from the kitchen. You get a chance to be entertained by some of the most talented individuals walking the face of the earth. They exist. I've been to Magic. Maybe we didn't win a championship when I was in college, but guess what I did that summer? I came back to Freaknik and I lost the NCAA tournament, but I won when I got past security and I went in Magic City. I won. People say I'm not a champion. I got so many championships. I have so many. So many. I have way more rings than fingers and toes. You guys just judge me by what you see me playing basketball. And for somebody to work in this environment, and Jack Harlow, he should be arrested. Like, for real. Like, for 48 hours. Like, there have been times where people have done things and, they hold you for 24 to 72 hours. He need to fall into that get locked up on Friday afternoon, can't see the judge till Monday morning category. So your artist, a public figure, number one, you rolling up on dudes during the pandemic and trying to take a picture while we rocking mask? Come on, man. Press pause. We in the A. We clearly in the spot. My name on the menu, 100. You'll see me again clearly. We ain't got to do this right now. We do not have to do this right now. And then the other thing, if you want to take a picture and I'm nice enough to do it, save it in your phone. Don't put it on the internet. And then at me. He added them. Oh my God. Such a flagrant violation of privacy. Jacoby, you know how I feel about people that take pictures of somebody that's not looking. It makes me feel like a zoo animal.
He posted the photo.
I know. That's where I'm going. If I feel that way about somebody taking a picture of me without looking, I feel like you should be jailed if you take a picture of somebody in the strip club and you post it, you video it, you tweet it, you mention it, you do anything. What's the first word in front of club? Gentlemen's. You don't see people talking about what happens at the golf course. You just don't see it. It's a gentleman's environment. You don't see what they don't talk about what happened. They just leave the house for 4 or 5 hours and they come home. Yeah, I shot it good. I didn't shoot it so good. You know, you don't know where they was really at. Same thing here. Come on, man. This is a flagrant violation. Free Lou Will.
Free Lou Will. And I also want to say this is Aries. When the New York Times called you and said, hey, can I speak to such and such? This is David Jacoby from the Los Angeles Times. You hang up right there. Hang up right there. You don't give your name and then give quotes. Like, I don't think you should keep your job. I really don't. I don't think that Aries should keep her job. I don't know her. I don't know what she looks like. I don't know how long she's been there. And then to say he tipped well, of course he tipped well. So this wouldn't happen. He tipped well in part for your services and in part so this wouldn't happen.
And you know what else?
Violation.
How about this? And let me talk about commerce. Okay. You're going to make what's her name?
Aries.
I promise you, as a retired patron of Magic City, you're going to make a lot more money in that establishment from people like Lou Will than you will from the Los Angeles Times. I promise you that. I promise you that.
You a dime.
Now that decision is not only going to mess with your bread, it's going to cost you your gig. And the Los Angeles Times, they're going to delete your number and never talk to you again.
No. And also, Lou Will, when you said you're in and out for wings, I didn't believe you. You know what I mean? Like, I want to triangulate these, like, the locations of where he was, where he went to get the wings, and where he went back to. Because some tells me he drove 45 minutes to Magic City. You know what I mean? I know that Atlanta traffic is tough, even in the pandemic. Like, he went across town. He probably passed 400 places that sell lemon pepper wings to get to Magic City to have those lemon pepper wings. You did not come in and out to get wings, dog. We knew that.
There were some police officers on Sanford and Son called Smitty and Hoppy. And the black cop used to translate to Fred and Lamont what the white cop was always saying. So when Lou Will says that he went to get wings and he was in and out, all that means is I got 3 or 4 dances, not 20.
Exactly.
All that means is I was there 30, 45 minutes instead of 3.5 hours. That's what that means.
Exactly. Free Lou Will, man. This 10 days seems like a long quarantine. You trying to tell me that if you can't, this seems like he's doing a little bit bid inside of a bid. 10 days is way too long. Free Lou Will. Jalen, we'll be back tomorrow. Why is that?
We're not done. We're not.
Hello, this is your apartment. I need some favors from you. Your cat keeps rubbing against the kitchen island, and I can't return the favor. Can you give her extra pets for me? After that, could you bundle your renters and car insurance with Geico? We could save money, and it's easy to do online. And one last thing. Could you leave the TV on during the day? I need to catch up on my soaps.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.